just to put this into context, it was August. It was hot. There was no breeze at all. It was a hot August night. And 6 teenagers were alone in the dark, playing with the Ouija board. So as the planchette began to move, we were asking it questions, mainly about our future. Am I going to get married? Am I going to be rich? What is the name of my husband to be? But then Brian asked it a question. Who is here with us? At first, the planchette was still. It did not move. So Brian asked it again. Who is here with us? Who is here with us? And then slowly the planchette began to move. U N K N is from Reddit, and it is Thai lesson in the South. And they write, my friends and I thought it to be fun to convene with the spirits pretty much daily one summer. We would regularly break out a homemade Ouija board to see how goofy that we could get. Because it gets too hot to do anything outside during that time of the year. And we had to find things to keep our 15-year-old selves busy. We were at Jennifer's tiny little house in the 90s. Things went from casual to unbelievable. We would hear people, I'm a teenager who died in a house fire, and I'm an old woman who died of natural causes. Stuff like that. And then it went to disturbing. I have never had a body, but I am able to experience life down here. If you say you'll accept me, for those we would always take our hands off and demand a new spirit. After what was essentially auditioning them, the gang and I managed to settle on a rather gentle entity who went by the name of A.J. Duke. Where's U-K-E? Went by the name of A.J. Duke. A.J. said that we could talk to him pretty much whenever we wanted. He was an 8-year-old boy and didn't want to be crossover because he liked watching people go about their lives, and he had been doing this for hundreds of years. Yeah, it sounded like BS, but whatever. It was a Ouija board. All kinds of strange things happen. It was all well and good for about a week or so. He would tell us things about other people in the neighborhood. His spelling was horrible, and it was always hot tea. We were so polite back and forth with thank you and you're so adorable. And we'd occasionally bring AJ up in jokes and banter when we weren't playing. He was kind of like a fourth wheel for a few days. And then it got weird. AJ revealed that our playing was attracting bad spirits to the property. He said that we shouldn't talk as much anymore. But if we asked for him when we started, he would try to take up space so that they couldn't talk to us. We felt so protected by this little dude, corny as it may sound. AJ was always around and game to talk whenever we sat back down to gab. Soon, though, we started noticing the damn thing getting faster and stronger. someone who was pretty popular in high school kick it with us. When she came into Jennifer's room and saw the Ouija board, she instantly got scared. We showed her what we usually got up to, and she was skeptical at first. She said, "I'm going down the hall and hold some fingers up. Let's see if the Ouija board can get it." So she does this, and one by one, the Ouija board knew the answers. You could see the smirk wipe off her face and go into something akin to fearful. Then you could see the fear go into deep curiosity. She sat down with us and played getting some gossip about her parents' divorce that we didn't even think about to ask. It didn't take long for the catty stuff to get cranked up. She was looking at us with a face that felt the air shift. When we usually did our bellyache and hands-off ritual of red, she protested. She thought this was when it really gets interesting. And what did that thing suggest we do? Not 5 minutes after she decided she liked it. The Ouija board decided that we should hold a seance. Guess what? The gang went along with it because the cool big sister got super excited about the idea. So did we. The board told us to get into a circle and hold hands, then to call for a spirit to appear. Mind you, the Ouija isn't spelling things out as cleanly. It would be something like circle with no E, hold hand, invite, and that was the good spelling. Anyway, we did as we were instructed. Nothing was happening at first, in spite of Big Sister's seance. If you're there, show us a sign. Still, our big round eyes would look around at one another. I'm not sure if we were hoping something would happen or if we were waiting for somebody else to call it off. Nobody wants to be the ultimate nerd, though. If we played our cards right, we might hang out with her crew between classes and look beautiful and be popular. If you're there, do something, she commanded. A newspaper clipping tapped into my friend's mirror, flickered, and we all jumped. But she confirmed it was the ceiling fan and said that it does it periodically. There may be another minute of Big Sister making demands, and I was certain someone was was just really odd to see a cool person looking decisively not cool. She spun around and screamed, "What is it? What is it?" over and over again, and just blew her bra strap. Just below her bra strap were 3 scratches, in some places deep enough to draw blood. We instinctively huddled around her, cloaking her in a protective shield, but she had no clue what to do except to move that huddle downstairs and into the living room, where her mother was watching TV. She leapt up and looked at Big Sister's back as we frantically exclaimed. Her mom made us burn the Ouija board, and she kept saying, "I told you not to mess with it. I told you." Jennifer didn't utter a word in protest. She just asked advice on the best way to burn it. Strange bonding experience used to call us when we were little. And the Ouija board got the answer right, and I was shook. Then I was like, no, maybe the entity can read our minds to get the answer. But then I so